What's up everyone, Sean Count Blaggerth here with a list. I'm not really feeling good, but I decided to do this video because I was listening to some music from my favorite musician of all time, and I get this question a lot, which is what are my favorite Celtic Frost songs? Since Tom G. Warrior is my favorite musician of all time, bar none, hands down. I mean everything from Celtic Frost, Hellhammer, Triptych, Apollyon's Son was phenomenal. Even when he did guest vocals in Probot, it was awesome. So I figured I'd do this video, and yeah, let's dive right in. These songs may not have necessarily been written fully by Tom, but they are part of his discography, and that is why I'm including them. So here we go. Number 10 from the 1983 demo tape from Hellhammer, their demo tape Satanic Rites, comes this song Messiah. Messiah is an absolute beast of a song. It ranges from every single part of extreme metal combined into one. It has the thrashy moments, some of the more upbeat thrash drum beats. The very catchiness of those said drum beats is absolutely incredible. And the guitar riffs are very catchy, they're recognizable, and they feature a very blackened vibe before there really was black metal. There's a death metal vibe before there was even death metal, especially in the really aggressive vocal style that Tom utilized on that song. From beginning to end, this song is perfect, it's catchy, it gets stuck in your head, and overall it's a near perfect song, and the reason why it's number 10 on my list. Number 9 comes from the debut EP from Celtic Frost, which is the Morbid Tales EP, and this song is Procreation of the Wicked. Procreation of the Wicked features one of the most recognizable riffs in heavy metal. It's a very driving, very heavy, very dirgy riff. It's a riff that you recognize almost instantly when you hear it, and once when you've heard this song, you'll understand why I love it so much. It has this very dark, ominous atmosphere. The very, just almost godlike voice of Tom just belting out the lines. And as he says them, you get chills, at least I do. And the riffs just kind of keep the same sort of pace, nothing really builds up. It's just a very more of a slower song that they've kind of made to be a, almost an anthem for Celtic Frost. And now Triptych plays it, but they play it even slower, which is really awesome. I love that. I'm a big fan of the doom work of Celtic Frost and what Tom has done. So I think that's a very good twist and spin upon a classic song. This is just a great one. Number 8 comes from the 2006 album Monotheist. This is the song As Abysmi Veldath. As Abysmi Veldath is one of the darkest and scariest songs I've ever heard. One of them. The riffs in this song range from being this very, very dark, mysterious, almost drone-like atmosphere to these doomy, monstrous, just destructive riffs that will just overwhelm your senses when you hear it. It features some of the most ominous lyrics I've ever heard in my life, and probably some of my favorite lyrics of all time are in this song, such as where I am, there is no pain, no God, no me, no in-between. And in my opinion, that is just a very scary line, because when you think about it, there's nothing, which is his outlook on the afterlife, which I think is really cool on how they utilize that in this song. The music just feels like you are surrounded by nothing, and it's a very dark nothing. And there's just something about how the song progresses, and flows that you can't help but really just sit back in awe at the majestic nature of this very dark doom metal anthem that is Abysmi Veldath. Number 7 comes from the Satanic Rites demo tape from Hellhammer. This is another doomy song, and that is Buried and Forgotten. Buried and Forgotten features another one of those riffs that's just very driving, very pounding, very slow, but very dirty sounding. And that's the one thing I love about the Satanic Rites tape, is it has this very dark and gritty sound, not just like in the riffs, but sonically in the production. And this song is a prime example of it, featuring some of the most tortured vocals I've ever heard Tom do, to these just borderline just screams that howl throughout this track. It's a very dark and scary song, and it's another one of those songs where when you hear it, you're just completely enveloped in the atmosphere and the feelings that are behind the music. And this is just another one of those very evil, scary songs that I love Hellhammer for. Number 6 comes from the, I believe it was 2009 debut album from Triptych. This is the first track on that album, called Goetia. I believe that's how you say the name. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. This is, once again, one of those songs where it has such a range of emotions in it. There's almost a triumphant feeling to the music of it. It starts off slow, and then it just punches you in the face with almost a thrash metal sort of assault, still keeping that really heavy vibe that Triptych really is now known for. They weren't exactly when the song came on, because it's the first song on the debut, but kind of continued in vein of Monotheist. And with this song, once when that really fast riff comes in with the drumming that's just pounding and driving, you're sitting there waiting for the next moment. And as it builds up more and more, the drum fill comes in, and one of the heaviest, most destructive riffs I've ever heard in my life comes on and absolutely decimates every single riff I have heard up to this point in my life. When Tom belts out the line, "Lord, have mercy upon me," I get chills. It's one of those songs where you hear it once and it stays with you forever. And this song has definitely stayed with me. Number 5 comes from Celtic Frost's second EP, which I believe came out in '85? I might be wrong on that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to get up and grab my cassette of it. But this is Circle of the Tyrants off of the Emperor's Return EP. Circle of the Tyrants is just a thrash metal classic. It's a black metal classic. It's a death metal classic. This is one of those metal anthems, in my opinion. It has some awesome riffs. It's a riff that you recognize instantly. Once again, that's a trend you'll find with Tom's work, is everything he does is so instantly recognizable that it will become an anthem to you, and you will perceive every single song almost as a metal anthem in some way. And this song is no different. It features that classic Celtic Frost, really thrashy, really upbeat, very heavy, very dark sounding stuff with some awesome lyrics and great vocals. And of course it features the legendary and the absolutely infamous Tom G. Warrior. Ugh. And I love that. That's such an awesome thing, and really no other vocalist can pull it off. Number 4. This is off of the debut from Celtic Frost, To Megatherion, and this is the Usurper. Might have said that wrong, because I suck. Yeah, this is probably one of the most recognizable and probably one of the most famous Celtic Frost songs of all time. There's something about the riff, the chorus, the vocal patterns, the drums, the bass, everything about it just works in such a fantastic way where it creates a thrash metal song that you just want to headbang to, sing every word of it, and it still has that very, very dark vibe that Celtic Frost has always had throughout all their work except for Cold Lake, and I'd say Vanity and Nemesis. But other than those two albums, the music's very dark on everything, and once again, this is just another thrash metal song that has a very dark atmosphere that's really even darker than a lot of bands that are known for the darkness in their music, such as Slayer. I consider this song to be darker than anything Slayer has done. Just some very good stuff. If you like thrash metal, you need to hear this. Now it's time for the top 3 songs, in my opinion, in the Tom G. Warrior discography. Number 3 is off of Triptychon's debut, Esperta Daemons. This is Myopic Empire. Myopic Empire is one of those songs where it's so beautiful, so catchy, and so dark at the same time. You go through almost every emotion that you have in you. From the musicianship, which is absolutely phenomenal. The drummer does a very awesome drum beat that utilizes the hi-hat to its full potential, and that's something I really like to hear, is people doing the muting and unmuting of the hi-hat, but utilizing it in a way where it's actually kind of unique. And the drum work on this is one of the things that makes the song. The riffs are just as destructive as any other song, but it's done in more of a subtle way. It's still very doomy. It has the chug sort of riff at the beginning. But the way Tom does the vocals in this, you can really feel the emotion and the bitterness and the anger and the sadness in his voice, and it matches perfectly with the lyrics, especially when he belts out the line, "You betrayed me to my face," after he does the very emotional sort of part, and then he just belts out "Pain, Myopic Empire." You feel that emotion that he does, and that's something that I've always loved about his vocal performances, is you feel the emotion coming from it. And I think that's something that's very unique, I can't really find too much in other music. Maybe some of fans of other bands that feel the same way I do, except for about a different band, they may find that, but for me, Tom's work does that. And this song is great. And one of my favorite parts of the song actually is when they break the song up with a piano interlude with the female vocals come in and just whispers in all essence and bitterness, intoxicated by, I can't remember, it's a lack of comprehension, intoxicated by my suffering, thou shalt suffer too. That really adds to the despair and the lyrical theme of this song, and I think that's a great feature. And then when they build the piano up and it goes back into the song, it makes it that much more powerful. Number 2 is another one off of Esperta Daemons, and this is an absolute mammoth of a song, and probably what I would consider to be one of the heaviest songs written of all time, and that is the Prolonging. This is a 20-minute epic that does not let down, does not let up, and it somehow manages to keep the heaviness and the impact that the entire album has had up to this point. This is the final track on the album. It manages somehow to really just keep all those elements there and still keep it refreshing, yet somehow, in some miraculous way, make it even heavier than it was. And I think that has a lot to do with the bass distortion and the way it was mixed. And when that main riff comes in during the intro and the bass plays the riff, it is one of the most destructive and crushing things I've ever heard in my entire life. And once again, that is something that I keep coming back to. And as the song progresses, you feel Tom's anger in the lyrics, and you feel that range of emotion, you feel that anger, and you're angry, and the music really fits that real despair and attitude so well that it gave me chills when I heard it. And when it breaks off into the second part of the song where it plays the guitar chord before they say, "As you perish, I shall live," It gives you a break. And once when he says, "As you perish, I shall live," you almost feel better. You don't feel the anger anymore. You just kind of feel like you've triumphed over something that you never thought you would. And that is a beautiful thing. And as the song progresses towards the end, you feel the anger a little bit more, but you still feel like you have triumphed over something that you never thought you would. And that is why that is number 2 on my list. Number 1 is technically 3 songs. And I consider it to be one piece of music, so that's why I'm doing this. And that is the final 3 tracks off of Monotheist, the Triptych, which is Triptych 1, Totengott, 2, Synagoga Satanae, and 3, Winter. Now, this is a 25-minute piece of music, roughly, and this is one of the scariest pieces of music I have ever heard in my life. This makes most black metal sound like a Disney soundtrack. This Triptych is by far one of the most frightening things I've ever heard musically in my entire life, and that is why I love this so much. Totengott starts off this Triptych with a very dark, ambient sort of vibe, and then all of a sudden these terrifying screams that sound like they're coming straight out of the depths of hell are screaming at you. All these very intense, very frightening, that's a word I keep coming back to because that's what it is. He's just screaming these lines that sound like he's speaking from the other side of existence. And that to me is frightening. And as he's screaming this, the music becomes louder and it becomes more distorted. And the ambience just becomes even scarier. And as the song kind of dies down, the whisper is what carries it out. And then you hear some feedback. And that is when Synagoga Satanae comes in and takes over for 14 minutes. And this is a song that is my favorite song of all time for many, many reasons. First and foremost, the riffs in this song are some of the heaviest and darkest sounds I've ever heard a guitar make. It's on a whole new level of fright. It's a whole new level of crushing and darkness, and this song has raised the bar for bands to come that want to make dark and scary music. As these riffs progress and carry out through the song, they just build up more and more, and then finally the chorus riff comes in. And when that chorus riff comes in and the vocals belt out the line which is, "In darkness thou shalt come unto me, in darkness thou shalt worship me, in darkness thou art mine eternally." When he belts that out, you get chills. And as the song goes back into the verse, you're left stunned by that chorus as he's saying these next lines, and then it builds up more and more, goes back into the chorus, and then dives down for a few seconds before "Rise, Synagoga Satanae, Rise, Lucifer Daath" comes in, where Tom is screaming this, along with, I believe, Martin Eric Ain is screaming it, and they even have Satyr from Satyricon, or Satyr, I'm not too sure how you say his name, I think it's Satyr because it's Satyricon, I'm not sure, but he comes in and just belts out some very dark sounding vocals over this. And then Martin comes in and starts to speak in German. And then the prayer comes and dives straight down into almost ambience as the guitars ring out and feedback. And once when he whispers, "Bis zum Tod, Amen," the riff comes back in, and that's when the song starts to come to an end as Tom belts out the lines, I shall rise, I shall rule in blasphemy. That's a very powerful statement, and that's something I feel like no other artist has touched. Such a level of darkness and such a level of heaviness in not only just the music, but in the emotions. And the song just carries out into Winter, which is an all-violin outro, which is a beautiful ending and such a soothing ending to such a dark triptych. And it ends Monotheist perfectly. And I've rambled on for 20 minutes, so I think this video is long enough. That is my top 10 songs in the Tom G. Warrior discography. And yeah, I felt the need to do this video because I've been obsessed with this music for so many years. I was listening to Hellhammer and I said, let's do this. So that's it, everyone. Thank you guys for watching. Also, let me know what your favorite songs are by Tom. So yeah, leave me a comment or maybe make a video. That'd be cool. But that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, keep it metal.